Okay, so hello, beautiful person, beautiful world. It is week 5. Well, last week was week 5. So we're just gonna do like my little check-in for week 5 of the Artist Way, and we're gonna start by like just going through like what the chapter was about. So the chapter was titled "Recovering a Sense of Possibility," and the little excerpt at the beginning was, "This week you are being asked to examine your payoffs and remaining stuck. You will explore how you curtail your own possibilities by placing limits on the good you can receive. You will examine the cost of settling for appearing good instead of being authentic. You may find yourself thinking about radical changes, your growth, no longer ruling out your growth by making others the cause of your constriction." I can read, but I'm not wearing my glasses right now, and it's been a long day because I just got off of work. But nonetheless, so this chapter was really just like focused on like removing the self-limiting beliefs that we have and not allowing ourselves to basically suppress ourselves for the sake of other people, whether that's showing up more for the people around you or just going out of your way to do things for other people instead of doing what you need to do for yourself in order to pour more into yourself. And that's like a theme that's been following me a lot throughout the past year or two. And as I've been going through this self recovery journey and this creative recovery journey, they've been allowing me to see how much because of course, as the type of person I am, I love to point to other people and be there for other people and make sure that other people feel seen and heard and appreciated. And so a lot of times I'll not make myself feel seen, heard, and appreciated for the sake of being there for other people, which over time it can cause like resentment and just negative energy to poison relationships and connections. And so this chapter was really interesting because I felt like I was being called out a lot. And one of the questions from the chapter, because there was a virtue, what is it, the virtue something a quiz. There was a quiz at the beginning of the chapter that, hold on, the virtue trap quiz, and how we basically do these certain things in order to make ourselves seem or look good or to appear good to other people, but we're just doing it for the sake of how it looks, and we're disregarding how it makes us feel, or how we're not really prioritizing ourselves, basically. And I noticed that a lot in my own relationships and just like how I show up. Because a lot of times, of course, like being an older brother or being just a human, being a friend to people around me and wanting to be a good friend or a good brother, significant other, whatever the case might be, whatever relationship that it is, I always wanted to like be that person who shows up as your best self. But a lot of times I kind of forget that in order to show up as my best self, I need to show up for myself. So it's kind of a twofold process. You can't always show up for other people without showing up for yourself. And if you do, it's going to cause resentment and negative energy. So one of the things that I really realized was just that I worry that I'm doing too much if my dreams end up coming true. And then eventually it'll cause me to leave my family behind, the people I love and care about behind. Or they'll feel like they're being left out of my life. And so our relationships will just deteriorate over time. And that is something that really is important to me, just like maintaining those relationships in my life, because as I said before in my Right Back series, after my accident, I did feel like a lot of people in my life kind of just fell off or fell back, which of course other people have their own things going on in their life, so I try to take it personal, but at the same time it's like that was one of my lowest points. And so the people who stuck around are still part of my life. I really do put them first, and I really try and prioritize them in every facet of my life. But at the same time, I have to prioritize myself because I deserve that just as a human being and as a person. And in that way, I'm kind of just self-sabotaging myself by consistently putting other people before my own needs and my own desires for my own life. Whether that's just like making my own dreams smaller to make people feel more comfortable, or to like remove that sense of like fear that something could go wrong or something bad could happen. Because I do feel like that's a big fear for myself and also my parents, of course, because they don't want to lose their child and they almost lost me before. So I understand that it all comes from like a place of care and love, but also for myself, I can't allow that anxiety to stop me from living my own life and doing my own thing. So just kind of reminding myself of that and getting back to understanding what it is I want in my life. And there were a lot of visual tasks that went into this chapter, which really helped me to like visualize what I want for myself and my goals and the things I want to work toward. Like one of my goals is just living abroad and doing more things that are just adventurous without the fear of something bad's gonna happen. Cause something bad can happen here in Atlanta, honestly, and I can't live in fear for the sake of pleasing everybody else around me. And so just kind of reminding myself of that and just visualizing all the things I want to attract into my life, because at the same time, like as I'm naming the things that I'm trying to exercise or remove from my life, I also have to visualize and draw in the things I want to continue to move toward and manifest throughout my journey in life. So just reminding myself of these little things. I really did enjoy the visual task. I didn't really cut out physical pictures. I like doing visual, like digital visual vision boards every year. So I kind of did the same thing for this. And that's what I did for like one of my artist date nights. I kind of had multiple artist date nights this week just because I've been trying to make it more of my routine and more part of my life. But I really did enjoy this week. I feel like this week is really when the morning pages start to take a turn for me. I've enjoyed doing morning pages pretty much throughout the entire process, but in the beginning, it definitely did just feel like journaling. But I feel like I've gotten to a point where now it feels like I'm actually doing something productive with my time. And I'm actually like, the beginning always feels like just a brain dump. And then after that, I always hit the point where I feel like I'm entering like a flow state with my writing. And I just love how my handwriting's improved and just the overall process. I definitely see myself continuing to do morning pages after this process, but that's just something I've I've just fallen in love with the process of doing morning pages and the artist dates, just the overall artistic recovery journey. I've been enjoying it all. So we're gonna go do our week 5 check-in questions. So today is Tuesday, so I did this on Saturday, but I haven't read the next chapter yet because my week's kind of been all over the place with getting used to a new job, but nonetheless, here we are. So the first question, of course, morning pages. I did my morning pages every day, and it is getting easier because I don't really get up in the morning like, oh, I have to write. Now it's like, oh, I get to write. So looking at it from that vantage point, and also just how much I can see like my handwriting improving. That's like another thing that gets me to continue doing it. It's kind of the same thing as like when I'm working out. Since when I see the results, I enjoy it more. And when I feel the results too, because of course with the morning pages, like the beginning part is always like a brain dump. It actually calls it, Julia refers to it as the page and a half truth point. And it's definitely proven true for me because in the beginning, like I said, it's always like a brain dump. I'm kind of excavating the thoughts in my mind. And then when I get to a certain point, I'll hit like this flow state where I just start writing. Even if it does end up becoming just affirmations and just me motivating myself, a lot of times it becomes like prayers or like conversations between me and God. So I love that part of my morning pages. And I really have fallen in love with the process of doing it. And I don't really have like any barriers around it because of course it's my own personal thing. I always try to hit 3 pages. I don't always. A lot of times this might be 2 pages or like a page of me just venting and then a page of affirmations. So it really just depends on like what the day brings or like how much time I have. Because sometimes I might have to go do something, run errands, clocking in work now. So it just depends on the vibe. But morning pages was a success this week. And then we have the artist dates. So I had a longer artist date this week. On Sunday of the previous week, I just woke up and I was kind of in my feels. There was a lot going on personally. And so I was like, you know what? This is the enemy trying to get me down. So I'm going to church. And I went to church. It was it was a cool service. It was a different service because I've been trying to visit different queer affirming churches. And that's something that's been really important to me. And so I visited this one church here in Atlanta and they had like a bilingual service. It was really cool. It was something a little different. They had me in there singing in Spanish and I enjoyed it. I'm gonna try and I'm still gonna continue visiting other churches because I feel like there's more queer affirming churches here in Atlanta just because it's Atlanta. So we're gonna continue that journey, but I'm just looking for like places where I can feel fully at home and fully comfortable. The church I currently go to, I still feel like fully comfortable there, but it's kind of far. So I'm just trying to navigate that right now, but I am trying to bridge my just bring together my entire world. So that's what we're working on. That's like a personal journey that I'm on. It's like a little side quest I'm doing right now. But so yes, my artist date was very successful. It was kind of out of the blue, but as I said, I'm trying to incorporate my artist date more throughout my week. And then I came back and just had like a little self-care day because it was the Sunday, so I was getting ready. I guess I wasn't getting ready to start work yet. But anyways, I had like a little self-care day after that. All right. Then the synchronicity of this week. So surprisingly, on my way to the church, I called an Uber because it was so last minute. I wanted to get there in time for the service, and I wasn't gonna have time catching the bus. So I called an Uber, and my Uber driver actually was telling me how he has like a men's mental health group, and he had like some kind of conference coming up in July. And so I was like, oh, I feel like this is why God wanted me to go to church today so that I could meet somebody because I've been really trying to focus on building community here and just connecting with the right people, connecting with other creative people. And the men's mental health group, of course, mental health is something that's really important to me, but then the conference is for Black creatives or maybe just creatives in general, but he was Black, so we're gonna say Black creatives. But I feel like that was what God was trying to lead me toward. And so I feel like that was a big point of synchronicity for me and just honestly trying to have like a better sense of equanimity and not allowing all the negative things around me to throw me off or get me off track and allow me to just observe and not absorb all the things going on around me. And just really entering like a meditative state. And that just came from a sermon that I heard recently, and then also the book I'm currently reading, Thinking Like a Monk, and not allowing my monkey mind to run rampant and get me off track. And instead, trying to manifest a more monk mindset. So that was my synchronicity for the week. And then I never really have any issues or problems for my weeks. So, I mean, unless it's just like random stress like a few weeks ago with my phone bill or trying to figure out like just managing stress and previously unemployment. But those are all things that ended up getting resolved. So those are just like minor setbacks or minor inconveniences, and I've overcome them. So any inconvenience that I face or any issue that I face, I've kind of moved and grown through it. So it hasn't really been too big of an inconvenience or too big of an issue. I didn't have any issues this week. So hey, shout out to God. And yeah, so that is it for week 5. Week 6 is recovering a sense of abundance. So I'm looking forward to that. And I feel like it'll be very important for me to read, especially after this previous week of just like focusing on the things I'm trying to visualize and bring into my life. And honestly, I'm to a point where I'm like, I'm trying to get to a point where I can go ahead and just live off the land and move somewhere abroad and go off the grid in some capacity. Maybe not fully off the grid, but somewhere where I can just be in my own peace bubble. Because I have realized like my mornings and my evenings, I call them my peace bubbles because those are the times throughout the day where I really have time for myself and there's no distraction because either everybody's asleep or everybody's in their own world. And so I'm just like doing my own thing. And those have become like a sacred space or sacred spaces for me. And I'm just trying to bring that sacred energy with me all throughout my day, all throughout my life, and allow it to continue to be with me, if that makes sense. But yes, so we're just focusing on abundance this upcoming week, and I'm interested to see how that all plays out. So yeah, I'll be back next week, but that's it for today. So until next time.